When you hear the word failure, it feels heavy. It feels like a life and death situation, especially if you're in med school where everyone you're around feels brainy, feels intelligent, and if you're an average student, you don't feel like if you belong here anymore. Here's the truth. Failing in med school doesn't define who you are as a future doctor and as a person. In this video, I will share with you 5 things you must keep in mind whenever you're First is normalize the struggle. Every med student knows someone who has repeated the subject, failed, took the board exam twice, thrice. But here's the truth. Almost none talk about it openly because of the judgment it carries. Every doctors has stumbled, or most has a failure before they became successful, because being in med school is not a sprint but rather a marathon. Some may be faster than others, some may take detours, but still the end goal is. Next is failure as a feedback. Whenever you're failing, it tells you something about your study habits, about your mental health, maybe something about your system, or maybe a change in your circle because maybe they are just lazy studying. There's just something wrong. And this type of failure doesn't define your worth. Maybe it just signals you to shift something you need to work on, but doesn't define that you're already a failure your whole life. The third part is personal reflections. If you've ever failed at some point in your life, I want you to ask this to yourself. What did I do that make me fail? And what do I need to improve on? What are the areas that I need to study more on? Because this type of thinking helps you find a solution rather than wallow on the things you can no longer control, like having low grades, failing an exam. Because when you became a doctor, once a patient sets in your office or at the hospital and you are facing some difficulty deciding on what to do with a specific patient because of her or his critical problem or critical situation, you must think on a solution rather than doing things you can no longer control, like her declining health. From that point, it trains you on what you can do when faced in a specific problem. It's just like an early training ground for you, because in reality, grades doesn't define you, because the way you plan things, on the way how you perceive things is more valuable than the grade itself. The fourth part is resilience matters more, because being a med student or being in the field of medicine isn't about never failing or being the perfect person, knowing everything. It's about always getting back up whenever you're faced with a difficult situation. And resilience really matters more. For the last part is looking at the bigger picture. Even the doctors that you know has stumbled and failed at some point in their life. What made the difference is that not the perfection, but the persistence. And the truth is, the patient doesn't care how many times you failed the subject, how many times you've repeated a specific exam, how many times you cry yourself out. What they care about is being you at the present state, taking care of them, attending to their needs, and finding the best solution to whatever situation or disease or problems their body has, in layman's term. What matters is what you are going through this wonderful journey in med school. And what matters is you becoming present on what you can offer to them in the future. Let me tell you this. You are not your grades. You are not your setbacks. You are not your lowest moments. You are defined by how you raised after them. If you're watching this and you feel like failure because you recently failed an exam, are at them a practicals, and you feel like everything's not doing well according to what you've planned, and everyone else around you is doing well, Remember this, you are not alone. Everyone has their own struggle. They are not honest enough to talk it out loud. And this is not the end of your story, but a journey worth remembering. And medicine isn't a race, but a marathon that each of the players has their own pacing, reaching the end goal. And if this story resonates with you, or you know someone who might need to hear this, you can hit like, share, and subscribe so that I can keep creating stories or sharings like this that are not well talked about because of the judgment that it will carry on if it's being shared to other people. Thank you for your time in watching my vlog. Have a good day ahead. Keep in mind that failure doesn't define you as a person. Bye.